Hi, welcome to the Unsub Podcast, episode number 4. Today, my guest is Ashlee, the Mobwife Gambino. There's an old cliche in the fighting, boxing, Muay Thai, and martial arts world says you live to fight another day. And I'll let Ashlee tell her story, but she's fighting to live another day. Um, Ashlee, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for
Let's
having me on here. I love sharing my story.
Yeah, let's tell people who you are. I know I was doing some research and saw how you actually got discovered just by doing some sparring in the middle of the Las Vegas Strip. So let's have a little talk about that.
Yeah, that was really fun. I was on Fremont Street for 2 years as a performer. Um, Definitely probably the highest paid performer while I was out there after I figured out what I was doing. Um, I started out just by shadow boxing, and then I started shadow boxing against people. I would hand a pair of gloves to a willing participant, provided they weren't belligerently drunk. And we would discuss rules that we weren't supposed to actually try and hit each other, even though it turned real more often than not. Uh, and it was very fun. I actually had a lot of real fighters come up to me, and I got a lot of really good work. I met a lot of big names out there. I even met Dana White and shook his hand and told him I'd be a future world champion one day.
That's crazy. Did you have to sign out, hand them, make them sign release forms before they did that, or it's just at your own
No,
risk?
no, I kind of skipped that part. But they did verbally agree.
Very nice. Um, you've got quite a presence on social media, and just one thing I think we have in common, I do see you did get a lot of online trolls. Um, just a lot of negativity, but how do you deal with those people?
I have always had the same feeling since I was young. Like, if you don't like me, then move on. I really don't care. Like,
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of negativity out there just because I don't know, it's a trend right now, first of all. And I just, I don't have time to entertain it. And neither should anybody else. The more that we ignore stuff like that, the better off we'll be, and we'll be able to start progressing more as a human race in general.
Well, you know what I always say is people don't pay you money, so why don't let them live rent free in your head, right?
Yeah, well, if they want to watch, then so be it. But they can, as far as I'm concerned, why don't you just keep your negative thoughts to yourself? If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all, right?
Now you went through a lot of sparring, some fights. Um, as a dad myself, reading what happened to your daughter, I just can't even imagine if you want to tell us about that.
It was really sudden. She was only 3 years old. She'd always been healthy. She didn't even like unhealthy snacks. She wouldn't even eat sugary cereals or anything like that. Um, so it was really, really unexpected. It turned out she had that something incredibly rare called acute leukemia, and it can be very fast acting. In her case, it was. It happened right after Thanksgiving 2 years ago. And I mean, on Thanksgiving, she was fine. She was eating, she was playing, she was asking to go outside, everything. That Saturday, she started throwing up and wasn't doing good. Sunday, she was still throwing up, and we took her to the hospital. And Monday morning, her heart stopped a total of 3 times, and she didn't come back the last time. And it was a really traumatic experience to go through for me. I was there when her heart was stopping. I told the doctors the first time because I noticed her shoulders start to curl, and that was the sign of the heart failure. And then everybody started rushing into the room and pushed me into the corner and started working on her. And it was a really crazy thing for her to have to go through. I was also pregnant at the time, and my knee was blown out too. I was on crutches. I couldn't have surgery on my knee because I was very pregnant. the plan was to wait until after I had the baby and have surgery on my knee. Now I can't have surgery anymore with my current health condition. I still have a blown out knee that I have to be very careful with. Uh, it was a lot going on at the time.
That's
So
insane.
yeah.
I'm so sorry. I can't even imagine. And then not long after, I was reading on your page today that 2 years ago today, you had a doctor give you 5 years to live. Uh,
Yeah, I know I've been saying that a lot. I mean, it was kind of a hopeful 5 years, honestly. It was if you make it 5 years, that'll be a miracle thing. Um, it's honestly a miracle that I'm even still alive now. The doctors really didn't think that I was going to make it out of the hospital. Um, it was not, it was basically just not going to happen with how severe my situation was. My pressures in my heart were in the hundreds, which is like almost impossible to survive. The right side of my heart was twice the size as it should have been, still is very big. Um, and so when they found it, they explained to me that the pregnancy was making it worse. With pulmonary arterial hypertension, pregnancy is almost certainly a death sentence. So it's it makes there's a lot of work that a woman's body has to go into to creating a child. The blood volume multiplies. Your organs get pushed around in there. All kinds of stuff is happening, and so she wouldn't have survived if um if I would have kept going with her, and neither would have I. They couldn't even believe I was alive when I came in. And so they told me that I had no choice but to lose her or lose us both. And so I had to let them take her from me. And that was also probably the hardest decision I've ever made in my life.
yeah, and I can't even imagine that. With all these things happening to you, I've been watching a lot of your videos. They're so inspirational. You're using this time to inspire people out there to,
Thank
never give up. Like the paramedic I interviewed in my first couple episodes just said, live for the next minute.
you.
Make the
Yes, I
most.
mean, anything can happen. I mean, I could be taken out by something that has nothing to do with this disease. We do have to live for the next minute. He's very right. Um, and I've always had a goal of inspiring people since I started fighting in the first place. My goal was to become a world champion, to gain the position of influence in order to inspire people to do and be better in general. And while I was in the hospital, um, I had to be as stoic as possible in order to survive for my family. I still have two children with me and my husband. My daughter's 9, my son is 3 now. This was 2 years ago that this initially started. Um, and I was in the hospital for nearly a month. Um, before I left, I had my team of doctors, a large amount of them anyways, come into my room and look me in the eyes and tell me that I inspired them, not only emotionally and physically, mentally, but medically, because I should have never survived and done as good as I was doing at that point. And so at that moment, I realized that that was what I was supposed to continue doing, was inspiring people. It made me, it gave me a sense of fulfillment because that's what I've always wanted to do anyways. And now here I am even inspiring my doctors. And so I want to continue doing that and doing my best to inspire people in general.
Amazing. I was only actually in one sparring session in the 2 years I did boxing at a club, and the first time I took a punch to the face, it was the weirdest feeling I've ever had in my life. Like I was in a fight while trying to defend myself in '94, and I don't even think I remember that. I don't remember taking a punch, but to actually take one the first time, it's a strange feeling, and that you lose all control in that moment. But you've
Well, from a trained fighter too, especially in a boxing gym.
Yeah, but you've taken a lot of punches on all different sorts of ways in the last few years, but you jump back up, you're keeping going here. What's your best way to recharge mentally after just when things start getting to you? Like, what's your escape?
Um, you know, you just I just have to center myself in general. My escape used to be training martial arts. Um, I really, really enjoyed it. I miss it so much. But obviously I can't exactly train it very hard anymore. When this all first started, I couldn't even do the dishes or walk across the street. Heart failure is a very humbling thing to go through. Not to mention the arteries in my lungs are constricting, which is what initially is causing the heart failure. So it makes it very hard to do things. But I don't have any quit in my blood. It's just not in me. I can't quit. And so knowing that, I use that to fuel me to continue to move forward even on a day-to-day basis. I have to set reminders on my phone to even remind me to take my 15 pills I have to take a day to keep me alive. And I also have to mix medicine that is pumping directly into my heart every 48 hours. Actually, after this podcast, I'll be going and mixing that medicine. Uh, it's I know I've been through a lot of trauma, and I know a lot of people have probably not been through anything anywhere near as bad as me, but some people have been through worse. But no matter what, we all have our own story. And we all are individuals. And so we all need to find our own inner sense of self in order to move forward and progress each day. We can't let ourselves fall down a slope of negativity or not progression towards anything. That's never a good thing. We always have to find a reason to move forward.
What's the I was watching a highlight of one of your first fights and you're kind of just bouncing back, waiting to come out, and you can see you almost feel the adrenaline rushing through your body watching that. So when you get a good strike in or pin someone down and you hear the crowd cheer, what's that like? Something well,
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love the people. I love when they scream for me. It fuels me. Even if they're screaming against me, I don't care. I love it. I love the energy. Um, that scene where I was bouncing, I believe, was when I was getting ready to start that boxing fight. I took that fight on short notice. I was also only 7 months out from having Kitana, my daughter who passed away, and I was still breastfeeding.
wow.
So, it was definitely an unexpected situation. I didn't have any formal training before that, but I'm very good at what I do, so I was very confident and I was excited to be in there. I was also focused because when you go into a professional boxing fight, it's a very serious thing. You have to be very focused or you will get hurt.
Oh, my daughter who's 10 is deeply involved in uh Muay Thai. She just started 3 months ago. Just got her advanced yellow belt to start. And she did have two questions she wanted me to ask you. She got too shy to come on, but she said, "What advice would you give to young girls looking to enter the world of MMA?"
I think that that's wonderful. I also want them all to understand that it's not easy, but it is worth it. And to always be careful who you trust. And there's a lot of crazies out there, and sometimes they seem nice up front. So be very careful who you trust. And don't quit, you know. Don't let it be in your blood to ever quit. Keep progressing, keep working hard because it's never going to be easy. No matter how good you get, it's never going to be easy. And it's always going to hurt so good. But in the end of the day, you're going to know that you can defend yourself. And that's what's most important, especially as a female. You should be able to defend yourself. And so I think that it's always a wonderful thing for them to train, even if they choose not to compete.
Very nice. She also wanted me to ask you if you had a theme song that what would your one go-to song be?
I love a lot of different types of music, and I had to think about this one because I wasn't sure how I was going to answer it. But in all honesty, the real theme song for me is the sound of nature. I really, really love nature. And if I'm just like in the middle of the woods, listening to a waterfall and birds chirping, that is my theme song.
Beautiful. If people want to talk to you or reach out, what's the easiest way to find you? Um,
The easiest way to find me is Instagram at the Mobwife. That's very memorable and easy to get to. I will be there posting updates on my health, and anything else that I might be going through.
Very nice. Well, having you on here has inspired me to keep going. There's days, I mean, I've had my moment. I've dropped a ton of weight, but I still need fire. And then hearing people's stories on here and just it's good. It's good for the feels.
Thank you.
I've
And
got
we always have to be our best on our worst day, right?
that's right. I've got one more question for you that I ask all my guests. Um, there's a 100-meter dash, but you can walk. And at the start of the race, you're handed a certain number of pigeons. How many pigeons do you think you could carry for 100 meters and have them at the end of the race?
Probably none of them. They're all squirrely. Pigeons don't like to be held. Honestly.
Well, I've heard some. We have one guy with eight. I don't know if you know Bret Hart. I got to go to a hockey game with Bret Hart, one of the greatest wrestlers ever. And I made a bet with him that I could ask him one question that he's never been asked in the thousands of interviews he ever did. And he did that. And his face was just stunned. And I'm like, you know what? That's what I'm asking everybody that comes on here.
Yeah,
And
pigeons, they're pretty birds don't really like to be touched, wild birds anyways. If it's a pet, then I'm sure I could carry as many as could stand on me for the entire race.
perfect. All right. Well, thanks for coming on and sharing your story with us. And I'll put the links to your social medias up in the descriptions, and people want to follow along with you and cheer you on and go from there.
Thank you very much. And I appreciate you having me on here and good luck to your daughter. Tell her I know that she'll be very, very great.
Awesome. Thank you so much.